After a 3-month hiatus, welcome back to my Baltic road trip series. I haven't posted in a while because I've been traveling, and boy, oh boy, do I have a fun new road trip series coming up for you after this one. But first, we have to wrap up this series. So we're going to start where we left off in Tartu. Leaving Tartu, it's a really nice day. I'm already sweating like a pig. I am not used to humidity. It's not even that hot. It's probably like 70 max. I don't know, but I am like sweating so bad. So next up, we're going to be going to these like marshes, bogs, swamp area, I think. But it's supposed to be nice. I was referring to this region, and I stayed in this town, which I don't know how to pronounce. I ended up staying at this self-accommodating type hotel with no staff on site. On the map, it looks kind of like a nothing town, but I loved it there. You know those places where maybe in pictures and videos, yeah, it looks nice, but it's not like wow. But in real life, when you're there in person, it just feels great. The energy is right, it's peaceful, it's beautiful. In my journal, I wrote, "That's the thing about traveling. You can describe a place to someone and tell stories and share pictures, but you can never make them feel how it felt. They won't understand how peaceful a place feels, and the silence and the way the sun is hitting something just right, or the color of the sky. It's something you must experience yourself." And that's how I felt in this little town. It may not look that special here, but I tell you, it was one of my favorite places I stayed on my trip. Almost everything in the hotel was written in Estonian, so I think maybe not that many international travelers stay there. I loved my attic room, I loved the view of the church, and I loved it even more when I decided to go out walking and explore the area. I passed by beautiful wildflowers, and just up the road from me was a magical foresty graveyard. If you've seen enough of my videos, by now you know that I love walking around graveyards in other countries. This was one of my faves that I've been to. I feel like I should do a video someday ranking my favorite graveyards I've been to in Europe. After getting bit to death by flies in the graveyard, I walked around neighborhoods and on trails. Even though that might not sound super interesting, just walking around streets and past people's homes gives you a much better feel for a place than if you were driving around. You notice little details that you can't pick up when you're in a car. Maybe you see someone doing yard work or a renovation project, or you can even see what kind of car they drive. It sounds kind of creepy and stalkerish, but I just like to see how people live when I go somewhere new. That's also the reason why I love going to grocery stores, because it's like, what do people eat here? What's the quality of food like? Is it easy to find certain products? I just picture what it might be like to live somewhere. Maybe that's not interesting to you, but I like it, so that's why I think it's fun to just walk around town and explore. And the nature trails were even better because I got to be surrounded by greenery, flowers, blue skies, trees, and some funny little forest creatures. Okay, does anyone know what this thing is? I thought it was like some fungus thing, but it has flowers and it looks kind of like a flower, but it also looks weird and waxy. I tried doing a reverse image search on Google, but I could not find anything close to it. Look how pretty it is out here. Somebody lives down there. Somebody lives down there. Can you imagine how peaceful? I love Estonia. On my way back, I popped into the church. I think the regular attendees have these like knitted cushions and bath mat type things to reserve their place on the bench, maybe. I don't know, I've never seen anything like that before. It was kind of sweet though. I also got a nice shot of the street my accommodation was on and the shop next to it. The next day I headed to this region, especially Narva, to check out what many people on Reddit said was the ugliest town in Estonia. And despite my mother's request, I did find some abandoned-ish towns to explore on the way. So this is not the town I was going to, but I just wanted to, just saw all these apartment buildings and wanted to look at what this town was. There's like house after house like this where it's just all like paint peeling off. This is crazy. It's literally endless. It's like one complex after another that looks like this. It's a school. There's kids going there now. Can't figure out how to get out of this maze. This is like never ending. I've never seen this many apartment complexes, just like one after another. Most of the train crossings go, you just have to stop and look both ways. Here's another train track thing where I have to stop. This cute little apple and a mushroom wood carving. Oh look, another mushroom. Okay, so they call this a ghost town. Oh, that's really cute. They call it a ghost town, but it's obviously not a ghost town because people still live here. I did see several abandoned buildings on my way in that I'll film on the way back. Oh my gosh, they have like modern exercise equipment. And it's weird because these places look abandoned and then you'll weirdly see like a modern car parked by one of the houses. There's like people walking here with a buggy. See? Like, why is there a car parked right there? I don't understand. It's kind of weird. This is something I've noticed here and something I noticed in the Midwest too. You can be in the middle of, literally in the middle of nowhere with nothing around, and yet there will always be like people or a car or something coming up by you. And it's like, can I just have some peace and be alone? I don't know why I go to these places where nothing is, and then there's always like people and cars everywhere. Kind of annoying. This town was a former oil shale mining town and at its peak had a little over 2,000 residents. After the mine closed down in the mid-70s though, people started moving out of town. It lost its municipality status in the early 90s and supposedly in the early 2000s, running water and electricity were cut off. Although I think it may be running again, or maybe the residents found some alternative way to get water and electricity. The F people live in this building? It's literally cracking. Their garden is beautiful though. This is so weird. It's like half the places are, no, more than half are abandoned, but then you have people living here still. And And some of them that look abandoned are apparently lived in. Okay, sweetie, look, sweetie. I think some of these houses people still live in because they have really well tended to gardens. Now I don't know where the hell I'm going, but I need to turn around and there's nowhere to turn around here. Just did like a 40-point turn out of this man's driveway so that I can go back to town. There's like some giant, what in the hell is that? That's, what is that, like a water tower? Soviet style? Look, they have a modern playground. Wonder what that means. I just looked up that word. It means private land. Okay. Look at this weird tower thing. It's like super old and rusty. That last town I went to on purpose, but this next town, I either saw it on the map or I saw a sign for it while driving, and I decided to just go check it out. This was another one of those towns, though, where at a glance it looked abandoned, but the closer you started looking, the more you noticed little signs of life. There's no way people live here. Yeah, there's no way. Dang, I bet there's like a bunch of towns like this. Look. But then, look at that, there's like modern cars parked right by the buildings. So I'm like, what's the deal? And they do have cameras. I've seen them posted up on poles and stuff. So there's like surveillance on these places for whoever. Oh wait, that's not a camera. Just kidding. Look at that. It looks like somebody broke the lock on it and that they put a new padlock. It does say video surveillance though. Another rusty padlock. Wow, look at that old mailbox thing, whatever that is. What is that, a map in the window? And then look at that. Is that play equipment? Oh my gosh, look at that rope swing that was in the tree and the tires. This is kind of the back side. Just trees growing on the roof. Oh, that door is open. Dang. Look at the old clothesline. There's an old house back there, a couple old houses. I wonder when these were last occupied. Wow, okay. It's pretty narrow here. I couldn't remember the name of the town, and I didn't write it down in my journal, but I'm pretty sure I found it. It's this town called Sirala. Again, don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. And it was built as kind of like overflow housing for workers in the oil shale mines. And even though it looks abandoned, there are actually people that still live here. If you go to this lady's website, you can find some really interesting pictures with little stories beneath them about some of the people who live here. Oh man, that door is open. Why are there's still living plants in there though? I think people live in there. I'm serious. There's no way. I don't know. What the? Okay. Oh, look at that down there. Oh my gosh! Look at this swing set. Okay, wait a minute. Shoot. Look at this. Oh, look at those curtains. What the heck? That's creepy. I feel like people live in that one building back there. Now look at this freaky little swing set. Ew. Okay, that one building over there had plants in the windows, so I feel like people would... Look at these old mailboxes. Someone started coming down the road, so I had to run back to my car. And I accidentally left all the windows down. Now there's a giant mosquito in my car. Again, what is a car doing down here? I don't know. It's really annoying. Wish people would leave me alone. That's why I come out to these places, so I can be amongst no people. Okay, I'm convinced somebody lives in this one. Because look at the plants, they're alive. This town is just abandoned apartment complexes. And there's like 2 people living here on the outskirts of town. There's their bus stop. I feel like my hand smells like a dead rat after touching that door handle. These complexes are just endless, like they go on and on and on and on. I'm gonna try and get out of here, otherwise I'm just gonna get stuck in a maze of them. See, it's just one after another. And they all look the same. See those Soviet buildings, and then right here is like totally different style. Prior to World War II, there was an oil shell mining plant in operation there. And after World War II, it was converted to a uranium enrichment plant. The uranium from this town was used for the first Soviet-made nuclear bomb. It was considered a closed city and was referred to by code names and usually did not appear on any maps. Nobody could enter or exit without permission, and the residents consisted of workers and forced laborers who were usually POWs and convicts. They eventually started importing uranium ore from other countries, and between 1948 to 1990, the plant produced about 100,000 tons of uranium. The plant now processes rare earth elements and is owned by a U.S. company, Molycorp. Although built during the Soviet era, you can see the buildings aren't what you typically think of when you hear Soviet, and that's because these were built in the Stalinist neoclassicism style. Besides the old buildings, they had kind of a cute modern waterfront walking path. I didn't think it was that bad. There's town from the outskirts. It's pretty ugly, I gotta say. It just keeps going and going and going. I know it probably feels like, okay, Alyssa, we get it. There are a ton of rectangle apartment blocks. We've seen enough. But I'm showing you all this footage because I'm trying to get you to understand what it looks like. And if you think, yeah, we've seen enough, let me tell you, I only filmed a fraction of what I saw in person. So imagine all this footage times 10, and that's what it was like in person. I can't even begin to film all the apartment complexes here in Narva, but it's pretty bad. I kept an open mind before I arrived in Narva, but after driving around for a while, I must say that seeing row after row of these block apartments starts to feel depressing. You can see on these maps just a small example of all the rectangle apartment blocks. If I swam across this river, I would be in Russia. There's the castle here on the Estonian side, and then there's one over here on the Russian side. People wheel their suitcases across. It's actually really calm and peaceful over here. Narva is an interesting city because of its proximity to Russia and its history, particularly post-World War II. It is also one of the largest Russian-speaking places in the EU by proportion of population. Look at those old antenna things. I don't know what they are. They blocked it off so cars can't go through. So apparently you can only cross over on foot. At least at this border crossing. Maybe it's at every crossing now. I don't know, but it looks like they used to allow cars because there were signs. It's clearly blocked off. Narva is genuinely ugly. Got quite a mixture of architecture going on in this town. I think this was the area I was in earlier, but there was like a ton more buildings back there. It's just so hard to drive and film. And there's like 1,000 cameras and stuff, but look at that. It's like never ending. Never. These aren't even the really bad ones. These are actually decent looking compared to some of the other ones that I've passed, but couldn't film. I'm in a maze of boxes. It was really hard to film and navigate and pay attention to traffic and look for places to pull over and stuff, so I only captured like a fraction of the buildings there in Narva. But there was like way more apartments and buildings that were super ugly, and I just wasn't able to capture them all, and I'm just tired and I don't feel like doing it anymore. I have the whole hotel to myself today. It's kind of creepy, but I'm like secretly really excited. I was actually really gleeful to have the place to myself, and every time I heard a car drive by, I'd peek my head out the window to see if they were pulling into the courtyard. The next day, I left my little green paradise and headed to Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, and the last stop of my Baltics road trip before I circled back to Riga. Make sure you hit subscribe and notify so you know when that comes out. And definitely do it if you want to see my next series coming out after this, because I am really excited about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.